All right, everybody, welcome to the Fit Pastor Blueprint Biblical Fitness Method. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you. That way we can get you started. I'm just going to go ahead and dive in because I don't have a whole ton of time this afternoon, but I want to make sure that we get through everything that's important for you guys. So, the Biblical Fitness Method from the Fit Pastor Blueprint. So, let me just give you an overview of what we're going to cover today. Number one, we're going to hit mindset. Then we're going to move to our knowledge and then our actions. So, you have to have the right mindset, the right understanding of the things that are going into the biblical fitness method in order for your knowledge to matter. You can have the right knowledge, but not the right application, and that's unwise. So, that's a lack of wisdom. I want you to be wise in your application here. And then after you're wise, then I want you to get to the actions and begin taking the steps that you need to. So let's just talk about the old way for a minute. This is the common way. Number one, everybody focuses on the pounds lost, the pounds that they've lost. I was just on a call this week with somebody, and he said that as soon as his pounds stopped dropping, as soon as he stopped losing weight, he hit a little plateau. Then he just gave up. Like literally 2 days. It took him 2 days to give up the progress that he was making because all of his focus was on how fast he was losing weight. And that's just a vanity metric. It's not something that's stewardship. It's not something that's faithfulness. It's just vanity. The other thing that you can find is physique. So you might get in shape, you might lose some weight, but eventually you want to start looking better. So these are people who really want to look big. They want to look strong. The silhouette of their body, they need that V-shaped taper in order to feel any amount of self-confidence, in order to feel, like they can take pride in their work, in the effort that they put out. And the next thing is strength. So this might not be everybody's cup of tea, but a lot of people would love to be very, very strong. These are power lifters, oftentimes the Olympian lifts, or sometimes you focus so much on adding more to the bar. And as soon as you hit a plateau in your strength or on a certain lift, then it's like, I don't know what to do. Like your self-image shatters and feel, you feel bad about yourself, and all three of these things just mean that we're dealing with vanity. If you stop losing pounds, then now you're missing the mark. If your physique doesn't look better and better and better, if every time you see a picture of yourself you don't think, wow, I look better than last time, then now your physique is controlling you. And if you can't add more reps or more weight to the bar, then your strength is controlling you. And all of these are just vanity. So go ahead and defend this spiritually if you dare. I want to spend multiple hours per week doing something that makes me look better so that people notice my body. Tell me how that is spiritually defensible. I don't think it is. It's not just pride. I'm sorry, it is just pride. It's not humility and it's not modesty. And worst of all, it's not Christ centered. Where is this statement focusing other people's attention, pointing them to our Savior? It's not. It's pointing them to you. It's pointing them to your physique, to the weight that you've lost, or to how strong you are. And that's not what our goal is, because Colossians 3:23 says, "And whatsoever you do." So whatever you are doing, whatever, including the gym, do it heartily as unto the Lord and not unto men. So if your fitness is all about you, if it's all about what other people see in you or what other people notice about you, then it's vanity. And that means that we need a better way. So we need a biblical fitness method. And that's what I want to show you today. So we covered the mindset. Let's deal with the biblical fitness method itself. And it has three parts. So this is an enjoyable life is number one. That means that we put family first, family first. So if your fitness is killing your ministry to your family, if you are a husband and a father, um, or even if you're dating somebody and you're unable to meet your obligations to steward that relationship, to disciple them, to point them to Christ, if your fitness is getting in the way of your family, then now you have a false God. If it gets in the way of your ministry and you're unable to perform as a pastor, you're unable to do what's right as a pastor, then it's getting in the way. It's now a false God. And that means that we need to put fitness below that. So there is kind of an argument, since fitness is self-improvement, since you are really trying to put on your own oxygen mask first, yes, there are times where these are tensions to manage. Sometimes your family time will have to suffer um, at the altar of your gym time. I understand that. I understand sometimes your family's not going to want to eat out to a certain restaurant, but you have to eat at that certain restaurant. I think it just kicked me off the screen share. Let me try that again. Sorry. All right. So sometimes your family and your ministry may have to suffer a little bit at the hands of your fitness, but your fitness should never, as a rule, take over these other things. So let's keep going. The first thing, again, is an enjoyable life. You should be able to enjoy your life, enjoy your family, enjoy your ministry. Then you should have wisdom in your application. So we're going to deal with three things: training, nutrition, and recovery. Let's dive into training. So in my research and the time that I've spent, I found that the 4 to 8 rep range is the best. Um, there's this myth out there that certain rep ranges are better for strength, some are better for hypertrophy, and then some are better for endurance. That is just a falsity. That's not true. So if you really want to maximize hypertrophy, meaning muscle growth, and your strength, then you need to dive into the 4 to 8 rep range. It again kicked me off, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. Sorry. Let's see if I can just share this. So the 4 to 8 rep range. Then we have the 8 to 12 sets per workout, meaning if you hit more than 8 to 12 sets, then a lot of times you're going to be just so tired. Um, sorry. A lot of times you're just going to be so tired that like you're not going to get meaningful results out of that. And then you want to warm up, not stretch. This is controversial. Some people don't think that that is good advice, but I don't really care what they think. We are warming up, and that means that we need to do warm up sets. So before you have a couple working sets, you need to do a warm up set or two at least, sometimes even 3 if you're needing it. And stretching actually works against you. It causes more fatigue, and I'm not going to get into all of that, but basically stretching makes it harder for you to recover your muscles. And we're going to get to recovery in a little bit, but you don't want to add anything that intentionally makes it more difficult. And stretching has no benefit to your lifting. So you can go dive into the research like I have. Don't just take my word for it. Go look up the studies and learn what you can. But you want to use the 4 to 8 rep range, 8 to 12 sets per workout, and warm up. Don't stretch. Now, training. You want to have 1 to 3 minutes of rest between your sets. The reason is if you're not fully recovered cardiovascularly, meaning your heart is still pumping hard, there's markers in your blood that circulate throughout your body. And basically, they make it more difficult to get an ample stimulus to the muscle. Meaning, it's kind of like if you are sending electrical shocks throughout your body, and that's what causes your muscles to contract, but then you dampen the ability of those shocks to send out, then what that means is now you're not able to use your muscles fully. And you don't want that. So you want to rest so that you can use your muscle more fully. Then you want to have wise exercise selection. There's some things that are better for certain muscles, and that is a much larger topic than we have time for today. But you do want to choose wise exercises. I'll tell you how you can do that at the end. Next up, training. We're going to use the double progression method. What that means is that you're going to add reps over time until you hit the top of the rep range. So if we're using the 4 to 8 rep range, then you want to start at 4. And then as you get stronger, go to 5 reps. And then as you get stronger, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to go to step 2, add enough weight to bring you back down to 4. So suppose I did 50 pounds for 4 reps. The next week, maybe I can do 50 for 5, then 50 for 6 the next week, then 7 and 8. Maybe I get to that 8th rep and I know that I can do 8 reps with 50 pounds. Then I'm going to maybe go up to 60 pounds. And maybe that brings me back down to the 4 rep range. So that's how you use the double progression method. And you can do that for pretty much all of your lifts. Now, that's on the training. Let's deal with nutrition. Nutrition. You need 0.7 grams of protein per pound of your goal weight. So if you grab out your calculator, you can't see me doing this, but 0.7 times, let's say you're 200 pounds, that means you need 140 grams of protein per day in order to meet your goal. You want to hit that every day. This is not an optional thing anymore if you want the results that you say that you're after by joining our group. Next up, you prioritize carbs over fat. You can look at all the different diets and you can do your own research on it, but basically carbs are necessary for hypertrophy or muscle growth. Fat is not. Your carbs are going to affect your ability to sleep, your ability to have energy throughout the day, your ability to perform in the gym, and your mental acuity. Your fat is not going to do that. So don't worry about fat. There are a lot of fearmongers out there who try to say that if you have low fat levels, then you're going to have bad libido, your testosterone is going to drop, all these kind of things. Or if you eat a very high fat diet, that you can actually boost your testosterone and all of those things. And they're not technically incorrect, but it does not matter for hypertrophy. So although, yes, they're not lying about those things, it doesn't actually help you in any of the pursuits that we're after. So then the next thing is to multiply your weight times 8 for fat loss. It's going to be a more aggressive thing. If you're 200 pounds, then you'd eat 1,600 calories. It's a low calorie limit for sure. You could do maybe 8 to 10. Let's do that, 8 to 10. If you're on the lower end, so maybe if you're anywhere 180 pounds to maybe 210, then I would use more of the 10. If you're above like 250, then you should probably use 8. So multiply 250 times 8, and that gives you how many calories for the day. Oh. All right, and then finally, some of you are going to reach a point where you are finally lean enough that you feel like you're at a good spot, a healthy spot. There's going to be this very huge push. I feel like Donald Trump, huge push online to bulk. They will tell you that if you want to maximally grow muscle, that's the word they always use. If you want to maximize your hypertrophy, maximize your muscle growth, maximize your strength, all of that, then you have to bulk. And they say that you need to eat more calories than it takes to maintain your weight. And that is a lie. You do not need to do that because eating calories does not grow muscle. If that were the case, every person who's fat in the world would have more muscle than every person who's skinny. But that's not actually true. So don't bulk. That's not going to help you. It's only going to make you have to cut back down again, to diet down again. You don't want to do that. So just don't bulk. Eat at maintenance calories. And you can usually find that somewhere, multiply 13 to 15 times body weight. If you do that, that's going to give you a range. If you start to see yourself creeping up more than like 0.1 pound or 0.2 pounds per week, then you're definitely a little bit too high. If you're going down, then you're too low. So just kind of adjust up or down a couple hundred calories. You'll find a sweet spot, and over time that will increase as you build muscle. Next up, let's deal with recovery. So if you train well, you don't need special recovery. If you train in a way that you need, let me give you a couple examples. Deloads, if you need rollers, if you need training breaks, anything like that, then you are not training with as much intelligence as you could be. There's a better way to do it. And I don't mean that to be offensive or anything. If you like those things, then go for them. I don't care. But if you want the best results, and if you want to continually build muscle and continually lose fat, this is the way to do it. So you don't need these special things. If you don't know what these are, then that's fine. That probably means that you just need to follow the advice I'm giving you, and you're good. You need 12 to 48 hours of rest before hitting that muscle again. So suppose I did a set of chest presses, and I did 2 sets of that. I would not want to do it the very next day. You'd probably want to wait at least 2 days before hitting that muscle again. Sometimes you might need more than that. And if you ever find yourself that you just cannot move through a plateau, meaning you just can't get any stronger, either you can't add a rep or you can't add weight after more than a week or two, for most of you, then you're probably needing to lower the amount of work you're doing or potentially change exercises. So recovery. Cold plunges, red light saunas, rollers, stretches, and supplements, they do not work for recovery. They might work for other things, but not for recovery. So don't let some guy on the internet who just wants to sell you a weird program that actually is not scientifically based or evidence-based, as I like to call it. Don't let them try to sell you that you need to do these cold plunges, red lights on, all of these things. They're not very helpful. So if you have, number one, an enjoyable life, meaning you have priorities in the right places, if you have good training, wise training principles in both your training and your nutrition, and then also your diet, then you need to move to number three, which is life above the sun. And this is the third pillar of the Solomon method. I did a video on that. You can find it in the post here in school or somewhere on my YouTube channel. And this life above the sun is important because anything under the sun, as you know, is just human. Anything above the sun is where the spiritual realm exists. So below the sun, that's where we live. That's on earth. Those are tangible things. Those are things that are going to disappear, go away. Life above the sun is honoring God with it. So have you ever done a Bible study on fitness? I feel like this would be a great place for many of you to start in order to bring your fitness from vanity to the biblical fitness method. We need to know what God's word says about stewardship, about the body, about God living in our temples, about things like that. You need to do a Bible study on it. Pray before you go to the gym. Pray while you're in the gym. Thank God for the physique that you have and for keeping you alive. You can be a good steward of a 1 out of 10 body. You can, in all things, give thanks. So you can have a lot of health issues. You can have not the strength or the physique or the body fat percentage or the pounds or the weight or whatever you want to say that you want, and still be thankful for the body that God gave you. So we should be prayerful. We should be thankful. We should be asking God to give us the courage and the strength sometimes to do the workouts or to eat the food that we don't want to. And because of that, we are now living with Bible study and prayer above the sun. And finally, diversion from the norm. And we already hit this at the very beginning, but the old way focuses on a bunch of me-centered things. This, we need to divert from the norm and divert attention to Christ. Let me add that clearly. So divert from the norm. We don't want to follow those paths. We want to follow the one that leads others to Jesus, points them to the author and the finisher of our faith. So then we need to get to the actions. So we built the mindset that we want a Bible-based fitness method. We've now found what that method entails. It has an enjoyable life, wisdom, and life above the sun. Now it's time to take action on these things so that you can implement them in your life. So let's talk about the actions to take now. Number one, follow the blueprint as is. If you go to the Fit Pastor Blueprint and you go here to the classroom, then you can see this, the Start Here course. That's great. Go to the Fit Pastor Blueprint, and I have built all kinds of videos. This is a complete course that gives you everything you need in order to get in the best shape of your life, including this tips for pastors only, which I think is kind of cool. I've never seen that done before. There's 3 workout plans in here. You can modify them as needed. And then there's the first workout guide. And this really gets you set up for that double progression method that I talked about earlier. So follow the blueprint as is. And here's the thing. Don't try to improve something that you've not tried yet. I had a guy in this coaching cohort thing that I'm in, and he kept trying to tell our coaches that there's a better way to do this, and he never hit the results that he said he wanted to hit. Now our coaches have it's a business coaching thing, so our coaches have made millions of dollars. This guy had not made any, and he was trying to tell them what they needed to do to change their program to be better. And it was like, really? I'm sure you probably had some middle schooler who's like figured out something in the Bible, and he thinks that he has this major theological framework, and he tries and comes up to you afterwards with all of this, maybe not necessarily ego, but with this intensity and this lack of understanding. I don't always think these people are ill-meaning. I don't think they always have bad intent, but I think sometimes they're just unknowledgeable about some things. And sometimes they come up and they try to correct you, and they try to tell you what you should have included in your sermon, or how you forgot this piece of the passage, or things like that. And everybody's got their little cocky middle schooler. Everybody has it. Whether they're 7 or 17 or 77, everybody's got somebody like this. And I don't want you to be that to the Fit Pastor Blueprint. I don't want you to try to take something that I promise you works. I know because I've seen it work. I've used the same process for dozens of clients. I've walked them through the exact same process. I don't want you to try to take that process and change it, thinking that something else is going to work better. And that brings us to number 2. The reason that you would want to change it is because you've listened to some other source. Now, follow the one source rule. Whether you follow me as your source or somebody else as your source, that's fine. There are other good people who teach good principles and can probably coach you better than I ever could. However, you need to stick to one. What happens is we hear one thing from this person and we hear this thing from this person. It's like trying to drink from a fire hydrant when really you just need a sip. You need to take a sip. You need to digest that sip. You need to think through that sip. And then you need to implement that sip. And after a long time of implementation, then you can figure out, oh, that's why that works, or that really works well for me. I just never gave it a shot before. So follow the one source rule. Don't go try to find other people. Stick with me or stick with some other trusted source that you found, and don't divert from that source. Give yourself a year to follow whatever blueprint you're following. Hopefully it's mine, but follow whatever that blueprint is with like cut out all the noise and only follow that one thing. It's only whenever I've done that I have made progress. I told my wife something about someone that I look up to, and I said, anytime I follow his advice, it works well. Anytime I divert from that advice because I hear some other person talking about something similar, it always falls apart. And that's because this advice is built to work within its framework. And same thing with the Fit Pastor Blueprint. So follow the one source rule. And the number 3 is use the daily stewardship logs. If you go to, again, FPB, you go to community, you can hit logs right here and you can see there's a stewardship log. All you have to do is copy this and then go down to the bottom, hit paste, and then just fill in an emoji, fill in an X, or fill in a check mark. You can even if you don't have these emojis, then you can just copy somebody else's check mark and post that here, and then you just comment it. And which you don't need to do that, but when you do this, that is going to keep you accountable. And there was somebody in here this week, and he said that he almost didn't work out this week, except that he didn't want to fail in our community logs. You don't want to be the failure in the community logs. You don't want to drop off. You want to be the kind of person who always is there, whether anybody else shows up or not. Use the daily stewardship logs. And then finally, number 4, schedule a call to see where you are winning and where you can improve. So I've been working on something really cool that I'm calling stewardship reviews. And because fitness is stewardship, there's some clear things that divide the old path people or the old way from the biblical way. And I want to see where you land on that spectrum. So are you following something that is biblical, or are you following something that is just secular, that is just vanity, and that's not truly going to honor Christ in your fitness? I hope that it's biblical. Now, you can get a letter grade on that, and I'd be happy to give that to you. So what you can do is go to this link. I'm going to pop it in the chat. You can see it up there, or if you're on your computer, then you can go to Want a Stewardship Review, that little link right there, and that is going to bring you to the same place. Again, let me just pop this in our chat over here. And what that does is it's going to bring you here. You can find a date and a time that works for you, and from there, you can schedule that call. You get a letter grade. We'll find out what's working for you, where you're solid, and then we can also find where there's room for improvement. And then we can just finally put together a plan that's going to work for you in your life with your circumstances. So if you're bottom line, if you're aligned with what I've said so far on this call, then you would probably fit really well with the ecosystem that I'm trying to build, the model that we're trying to build out here. Not just talking about biblical fitness, not even just staying consistent, but actually living it out and discipling one another in the process. That's what this community is all about. And I hope that you will be part of that. So if you're aligned on that, click that link, find a time, hop in, and I will hope to see you on another call later. So thank you guys for joining. Lucas, I see you. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. And I hope that y'all have a great day. We will talk later.